Let me say a warm welcome to all our listeners here on Birdie's Hot Seat, the hot seat where we discuss cricket, West Indies cricket, Caribbean cricket, and just cricket generally. Let me welcome back all our listeners, followers of Birdie's Hot Seat. It's been a while. We haven't had any of the podcast, but let me assure you that we are back on track and we are back with a bang here this evening. We're gonna dive right into it. We want to say thank you first and foremost to our sponsors for sponsoring this beautiful podcast. We want to thank J&J Pool and Lawn Care Services for their sponsorship and continue work that they do with us. We also want to say thank you to Rapido's Memorial Business Center in Dominica and also in St. Lucia. And big up, not big up, but they said to say it in that way. Big up and thank the NW Entertainment for their sponsorship in this podcast as well. And we want to thank all of them. And without you, that podcast will not be possible. I'm your host here this evening, Joel Birdie Mingo. And we have a special guest today on this podcast. We have Mr. Darc Browne from the island of St. Kitts. And we're going to have a little chat with him today and discuss a few things with him as it relates to cricket. Just off the top of my head, I know Darc Browne is from the island of St. Kitts. As I said, he's also a therapist and a strength and conditioning coach for the Leeward Islands Hurricanes. He's also the manager of the Leeward Island Thunder from the Breakout League. Which recently concluded Breakout League. So, and also, very importantly, again, he's also the coordinator of the Cool and Smooth tournament, recently concluded tournament in St. Kitts and Nevis, a very successful tournament. So, let me say good afternoon to you, Mr. Darc Browne. Mr. Browne, good afternoon to you. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon, Joel. Firstly, I would like to say thank you for having me. I think podcasts like these are really important, and I want to thank you for inviting me to be on this evening. I'm very well. I think you said there that I'm from St. Kitts, but I would like the general public to know that I'm actually from Nevis. I was raised in Nevis. My family's from Nevis, but I just happen to spend a lot of time in St. Kitts. But I'm actually from Nevis. But yes, I'm doing well, and I'm looking forward to a nice little sit down and nice little chat here with you. And I hope all is well on your end.
Yes, Darc Browne, as I said, he's also the coordinator of the recently concluded Cool and Smooth T20 tournament. And he has also done some work with the Thunder, Leeward Island Thunder in the Breakout League, and also the Leeward Island Hurricane franchise up here as well. So before we get into that, what I want you to do for our listeners is just take some time, tell us about yourself as well, and how you got into the cricket and how you became the coach for the respective teams that I just mentioned, and also touch on the Cool and Smooth tournament and in terms of the successes of the tournament and going forward, what would you want to see going in place with the tournament?
Well, Joel, I think you've said a lot about me already. But I would just like to say that firstly, I'm from Nevis, and my dad is actually who got me into cricket. My dad actually got me into every facet of cricket that I'm currently in, as my dad would have played for Nevis, would have played for the Leeward Islands, would have represented Nevis in the Stanford 2020, and my dad was also the massage therapist for West Indies for about 10 years. Um, I would have journeyed to England when I was 17 to attend King's College Taunton, where, it's a very cricket oriented school. And then I would have gone on to Cardiff Metropolitan University, where I did a degree in strength conditioning, rehab, and massage. After that, I came back to St. Kitts and Nevis, and, the franchise was based in St. Kitts at the time. And I would have done my internship there in the January before I finished in the August. And I would have documented, what I thought that I would be able to add to the franchise once I finished with school, and I did a PowerPoint presentation for the board, which was accepted, and I was brought in. From there, I must say that the head coach at the time, which was Stuart Williams and Peter Abraham, really guided my progress and really were two very influential people in me getting to where I am. Shortly after I began working with the Hurricanes, Mr. Abram would have appointed me the manager of the Leeward Islands under 17 for the Rising Stars Challenge tournament that year. So very early on, the franchise would have made an investment in me, and the head coach at the time, as I said, Stuart Williams, would have seen something in me, and they basically provided me a platform for me to leapfrog into all the things that I'm doing now. I'm. It's been a journey. It's been a journey that I've really enjoyed. I tell people all the time that I feel I show up to work every day and I actually don't feel like I work because I'm basically living out my boyhood dream. For the Hurricanes, I do massage therapy and I do strength and conditioning training whilst we're on tour. I'm also I have also done a few West Indies tours. I would have done the Bangladesh tour of the West Indies last year, and I would have gone to Pakistan earlier this year with the senior test team. Um, the manager of the Thunder came about as just as a progression, as they would have invested in me and made me a manager for the under 17 team a few years back. So it was just another avenue for them to, it was dubbed the breakout league, and it was an opportunity for players, but it was also an opportunity for support staff to have an opportunity to go about in different roles, which I took with both hands, and luckily we came second.
And I must commend you for the wonderful work that yourself and the rest of the team has done with the Cool and Smooth tournament. As I said, I was also a commentator in the Cool and Smooth tournament. It was really executed properly, and so on, and it also gave important the young players a chance to showcase their talent. And it's always good for cricket. You have to build a base, and obviously your base will be youth to take you into the future, right? So that's a wonderful job. We saw guys like the young Mishra, the spinner Mackenzie. We saw Stephen Pascal, the West Indies under 19 captain, and the list can goes on and on. So there's a lot of potential, and I love to see there's a lot of youngsters coming to the fore because of tournaments like this, giving them this sort of exposure. So I want to just tell you thank you for doing that, you and your team. And just hope that this tournament, as I said, build from strength to strength, and it really propels better into the future when you have the next tournament next year.
And I think you said there that you love to see the work that I'm doing, and it would be remiss of me if to not mention that it's not just me. There's a team. So I think a special mention must go to Therell Wallace, who I never really saw myself in cricket administration, and she would have been the person, the brain behind me, kind of trying cricket administration. She would have asked me to join her organization, which was Wally Sports Management, about 2.5 years ago, because she actually used to host T20 games on a Friday night, and she dubbed it Friday Night Lights. And she basically asked me to come on board when I finished with school, and we've just done project to project. It went from remaking the Berridge Howell Trophy in some T20 games between St. Kitts and Nevis, and then it morphed into the first year of the Big Six T20 tournament, and then now it is transformed into Cool and Smooth T20. So I think a special mention must go to Terrell, as she believed that I could contribute in this way before I even thought that I could or that I should. So I think a special mention must go to her, and a special mention must also go to Dario. I think Dario has challenged me in a number of different areas that I wouldn't have been had I not taken that opportunity. And for him to believe that the tournament can thrive here, I mean, St. Kitts and Nevis, although we have a very deep cricketing history, it is difficult for to take things from one place and replicate its success in the next. And I think that we are slowly on our way to doing that. So I think a special mention must go to Dario, and a special mention must also go to Terrell. In terms of cool and smooth, I would have met Dario close to 10 years ago. And at that time, Dario was the coordinator for the youth cricket for West Indies. So he would have been doing the under 19 team. He would have been doing the under 19 championship, which was held in St. Kitts. And over the years, I've always stayed connected to Dario, and I've been a fan of what they were able to create in Antigua in Cool and Smooth. So last year, when Cool and Smooth was moving away from Antigua, we sort of had a conversation, and he basically said that he wants me to come on board and to help him together a tournament here in St. Kitts. And obviously, being the ever enthusiastic person that I am, I took the opportunity with both hands, and we got it done. The tournament didn't go as smoothly as we would have wanted it, but everybody always says the hardest thing to do is to start, and I think once you start, things become a lot easier, and that was shown this year with the success of the tournament. And basically, what we're trying to do is to creating a platform for not just St. Kitts and Nevis, but creating a platform for the Leeward Islands and for.
Also, seeing that you obviously, for the listener's sake, you're a young man. Do you have any aspirations of one day probably, I'm not playing, but you said you're the strength and conditioning coach for the Hurricanes. Do you have ambitions of going further into the West Indies, or being a mainstay right there, or the physiotherapist? I believe you will. The way you carry yourself, you could definitely see. You're a man of ambition. You have a good head on your shoulder. So, what's your future, your personal future, aspirations?
I think my future aspirations are quite conflicted. And I think I use the word conflicted because it has one root, but it can also be done in so many different ways. And my aspiration is to help as much people as possible. And my aspiration is to create a platform for young people. Um, I believe that now is the time for young people to stand up and to be counted and to take up space and to really contribute significantly to the development of whatever it is that we deemed important to us. And cricket has given me a lot, and cricket has brought a lot of joy and happiness for my family. And, I think in this one aspect, being able to do it in two different ways, being administration and still physically in terms of helping people, has been something that has brought me a lot of fulfillment. Um, in terms of, being in West Indies team, well, I'm I'm not there full time, but I've done a few tours, and I'm actually doing the Australia tour coming up. So I think that I'm well on my way. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's conflicted because as long as I'm in a position that I'm helping people and I'm helping them to create a platform for themselves and advancing and playing a part in the development of cricket in the region, I think then that is where my aspirations, are and are aligned to. Um, Anything more than that, I don't. I'm not too sure at this time. That can change, but right now the focus for me is trying to help as much people as possible.
All right, it's very insightful there from you. Brown, I would like to thank you for coming on to this podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, and we really appreciate that. You took your time off. Your busy schedule to come and sit and have a chat with us, discuss cricket, discuss the future of cricket, on where you see it on your side of things in Nevis, St. Kitts Nevis, and the work that you do is really really commendable. I had a first hand look, as I said, in the tournament, and I saw how hard you work to get, you and your team work to get this stuff going and so on. So I must commend you, and hope and pray that everything goes well for you in your future plans, and also the work that you do with the Leeward Island setup. It's commendable, and I must tell you congratulations and keep up the good work. And definitely we will have a part two, a sit down part two again, part two. Sorry, we had part one. Now we're gonna have part two soon. So thank you, and we appreciate you coming on here, spending some time with us, and discussing and letting the people know that you know you've done a wonderful work, a wonderful job, and you know the respect that you have coming from that side of the country of the Caribbean. Sorry, it's really good, and you're doing wonderful things. So congratulations and thank you again for coming on, and hope to see you soon again in the near future.
I want to thank you for having me though, really and truly. It's a pleasure to come here and to speak with you. You know, from day one of when you reached out to me and said that you're interested in commentating, I knew that it was going to contribute well to the tournament, and I'm very grateful for the time that you gave to us. But I also want to take this time to give a special mention to the groundsmen, to the scorers, to the managers of the team, to the coaches of the teams, and the players. Without them, Cool and Smooth would not have been the success that it was. And sometimes we're not able to say thank you in the ways that we want to. And I just hope that to anybody that's listening that played a part in any of those various roles that would have mentioned, I just want to say thank you on behalf of myself and the Cool and Smooth team. So thank you, Joel, for having me, and I look forward to having another conversation with you soon. All right.